everyone. My name is Kimberly Moore. Welcome to the first of two professional development webinars that I have created as part of my dissertation in practice. Our topic for today is classroom management. Before we begin, I wanted to mention that many of the strategies that you will see here were originated for traditional classrooms. I have done my best to feature management strategies that can be adapted to both large and small learning groups. What is classroom management? The term classroom management refers to the wide variety of skills and techniques that teachers use to keep students organized, orderly, focused, attentive, on task, and academically productive during a class. Why is classroom management important? Effective classroom management establishes and sustains an orderly environment in the classroom, increases meaningful academic learning, and facilitates social and emotional growth, and decreases negative behaviors and increases time spent academically engaged. Let's take a look at a few of the researchers who have made notable contributions to the topic of classroom management. The first is Robert J. Marzano. He believes that teachers and tutors should have clear expectations and then create the corresponding rules. Expectations are the general behavioral guidelines that apply to all students and all routines within a learning environment. Rules stem from the expectations and pertain to specific activities or routines. Example: expectation, be respectful. Rule: wait your turn quietly until the teacher calls on you. There are 3 ways for teachers and tutors to create behavioral expectations. 1. Using the mission statement of your school or company. 2. Student input. And 3. Analysis of behavior data. It is important to note that you should make sure your rules and procedures align with the tasks and activities that occur in your learning environment. In this clip, we are going to hear a bit more about establishing rules and procedures from Mr. Marzano himself.
Design question 6 reads, what will I do to establish or maintain classroom rules and procedures? This comes from what we've known about good classroom management for years and years and years, that rules and procedures, they have to be there. And so there's nothing very new about this particular design question, but just puts it in context of a bigger framework. And just some things we know, that all teachers need rules and procedures. All teachers do not need the same rules and procedures. There should be a small number of rules and procedures. And just to make a distinction here, a rule is kind of a general set of expectations for behavior. A procedure is exactly how you do that. And you don't need a procedure unless it's something that they really need guidance in how to do. And of course this varies with content area, grade levels, things like that. The points we try to highlight with this, though, is that you probably, to some extent at least, always want to involve students in the design of rules and procedures. That for ownership, and there's a whole continuum on this. At one end of the continuum would be the teacher who has the students design the rules and procedures. They come in and say, this is your class, what are the rules and procedures? And at the other end of the continuum would be a teacher who say, here are the rules and procedures, but let me explain and let's talk about why they're important. So a teacher has to kind of see where they fit in that continuum. A big piece of this too, though, is also revisiting rules and procedures throughout the year. Really important that you just kind of take systematically, just say, how's it going? Let's talk about the rules and procedures, anything we have to add, anything we have to change. We believe that class meetings come in here, powerful tool that's used by some but not by many. A classroom is a little mini society. And even if you're at the secondary level, you say, well, I don't have them all day. Well, but for a student, each class has its own culture. And to take some time to address that culture. And rules and procedures kind of are the defining characteristics of a culture. And that's kind of the the parameters in which we define what we do and what we don't do, and kind of how this whole class plays out. So even though it's simple and well known, it's still very, very important. And for beginning teachers, this is usually kind of the first thing they have to think of. Classroom management almost always comes up high on the list of concerns for beginning teachers. So it's a good place to start, even though it's we've known about it for a long time. You can say it's not very exciting. It's still very, very important.
The next researcher is Harry Wong. One of his main tenets is the creation and reinforcement of routines and procedures. He believes that teachers and tutors should establish routines for repeated activities and create specific procedures that the students perform to carry out the routine. For example, routine. Transitioning to the next subject. Procedure for the students. 1. Put away previous materials. 2. Clean up any trash around your area. 3. Get out everything you need for the new subject. And 4. Sit quietly with your attention on the instructor. In this clip, Mr. Wong recounts the story of how his daughter-in-law adapted one of his attention strategies for her classroom. It is now known as the Give Me 5 attention procedure.
There are about 140 people in the room, 96 graders, 3 of them, 30, 30, 30. An assortment of parents, administrators, school board people, other students milling around the room, taking pictures, reading the report, eating the food, and suddenly I heard a chorus of 3, 4, 5, zip! The entire multi-purpose room fell to an instant hush, including those of us who had absolutely no idea what was happening. And sweet, kind, gentle daughter-in-law, Mrs. Cindy Wong, spoke. She welcomed all of us to International Day, thanked us for coming, and encouraged us to go back to the students until 1 o'clock, which we all did except for me. I ran over to Cindy. I said, Cindy, 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 what did you just do to quiet this entire room down so fast? She said, Dad, I stole it from you. It's your 1, 2, 3 plan, except I changed it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said, I understand. But Cindy, I didn't see a hand signal. I didn't hear a bell signal. Oh, she said, Dad, I got another signal system. I said, what is it? It's called Give Me 5. I said, what? Give me 5. When I say give me 5, please, my students yell out 1. And when they yell out 1, they do 1. It's been rehearsed. They yell out 2, they do 2. They yell out 3, they do 3. They yell out 4, they do 4. They yell out 5, they do 5. And Dad, after 2 weeks of everybody yelling out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the procedure is now done silently. The procedure now is, when I want their attention, I simply say, give me 5, please. And I stand there very quietly and I do this. That's her procedure. I just showed you mine. What's yours? What's yours?
There are 4 main elements of classroom management. The first element is classroom design, or how the room is laid out physically. Categories of this element include seating arrangement, learning stations, and supply storage. The second element is rules and consequences, or how behaviors are dealt with in the classroom. Categories of this element include expectations, rules, and consequences. It is important to note that consequences can be further categorized as positive, those that we use to reinforce necessary behavior, and negative, those that we use to deter unwanted behavior. The third element is scheduling and organization, or how time is used efficiently. Categories of this element include learning time and social time. The fourth element is instructional technique, or how you teach and deliver the material. Categories of this element include teaching style, supplies and tools used, and level of differentiation. In this clip, a high school math teacher explains how he establishes expectations and begins building relationships with his students, beginning with the very first day of school.
And 203? All right, welcome. There's find your picture on the board, and then there's a number there, and then find your seat, okay? Can I see the hat real quick? Okay. Bowls? Okay. But I don't want it in class, though, okay? But it's a nice hat, though. Hey, welcome. Guys, as you guys are coming in, please make sure that that is you, right? And there's a number that's by you, and then that's where you guys are going to sit, okay? So that's the seating chart for today. Mr. Gomez?
Yeah.
All right, welcome. How you doing? How you doing? ¿Todo bien? Yeah. How we doing? ¿Qué pasó, muchacha? ¿Cómo andas? I was outside greeting students. I definitely was out there just trying to build a relationship because I have never seen some of these students. So I really had no relationship. So I was just trying to find something, whether it was off their shirt, whether it was just something, just trying to connect with them, even just saying welcome. But I wanted them to feel safe, that this was a place I wanted them to be, and I was happy to be there with them. Okay, so real quick, there is a seating chart. Okay, always there has to be. Okay, right, because it gives structure. Because there's a reason where you're sitting. I made sure that looking at the math skills, that there's a strong in your group, that there's kids that struggle with math, and hopefully my kids that are that really are strong in their mathematics, it will help you. This is math 3. Okay, so it's a little heavier, right? It's a lot more work. So I had the seating chart set because I noticed that is day one. I think it gives me more of control. I think it's very important for the students to understand that even though this is our room, I am still responsible. I'm the main person there that I want to establish this learning environment. And yes, it shows authority, which is great, but I think also that I didn't just make a seating chart just to make a seating chart. The seating chart was based on levels, was language, and I noticed that as soon as the students sometimes come really they come really loud sometimes from the outside to the inside, but as soon as they see the seating chart, they actually start to like, wow, this teacher, he actually is in charge, or he's authority. I have a feeling he's going to be addressing the rules. Now, once again, I want you guys to use this syllabus because that obviously all the answers are here, right? And all you got to do is fill them in. For number 1, you can see that it says the first 2 rules in the class are, you would look where it says rules, and then you would start to, write number 1 and 2 and so on. In a little bit, I will call on your beautiful names, and we will hear your answers, and then we will make sure that we are definitely having the correct ones. Does that make sense? Yes? Having the syllabus could be very dry, could be very boring. Most teachers like to have their syllabus on the PowerPoint, and the kids are following. I think that it's more important to get a printout. They had to do something with it. So it wasn't like they're just hearing me talk for this whole 50 to 55 minutes. They had a chance to get a sheet that was called the scavenger hunt, and they had to find the answers in the syllabus. Before we go over this really fast, right, just really quick, just so that you know a little bit about myself, okay? My name is Mr. Gomez, obviously, right? It's on your schedule. It should be on your schedule, right? And at the end, it has a letter what, though, in my name? A Z. Very good, yeah, right? I do a lot of telling stories, especially in the beginning, day 1, day 2. I want them to understand that I am human. It's important for them to see that I did struggle.
Doing something, we have that option to do it, though. Okay, I don't think you understand. Let me tell you. My parents, okay, they came, Coyote, over, okay? When they got here, they didn't have a choice to pick where they work. Do you understand what I'm saying? My mom put oranges in boxes. She didn't speak English. She was not educated. That's what she did. Okay, my dad, right? He worked construction. It sounds like he got paid a lot. He didn't. Okay, he did like the mobile home stuff. Okay, he didn't speak English. He'll say, "Oh, mijo, yo speakity," but he don't know how to speak English. But he thinks he does, and he tries though. I think it's really cool. Anyways, those are my parents. There's no education there. Do you understand what I'm saying? But when you see that though, like if you said, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an engineer, I want to own my business. Why not? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like you have the option to say, I could do this or don't do this. That's big. At some point.
On the first day, I was really going after what I was really trying to do is, of course, you want to let the students understand what are your rules, what are your expectations. But I think one of the biggest things is making relationships. I believe that some of these students will, they're just dying to make this connection. And I just noticed that it's just that connection, making them laugh, making them feel that some of these kids, they don't really care about how much math I know. They actually care about how much I care. I think the students see he really loves to be here. Why would he even want to do all this and put all this energy into us?
Now we are going to look over a few of the essential tools needed for effective classroom management. The first is clear expectations. It is important to have clear expectations for behavior as well as each activity in the learning environment. Using student-teacher contracts allows for discussion and feedback while creating the expectations, which leads to a sense of accomplishment and acceptance. Contracts can be used for whole group and small group activities. The second is student engagement. We can increase student engagement when we allow the students to be involved in the creation process by brainstorming ideas, giving examples of both the right and wrong way to execute an expectation or procedure, and physically modeling different scenarios for their classmates. It is also important to allow many opportunities for student practice. Before a procedure is needed, when the procedure is modified, and as soon as you see a moderate breakdown in compliance. In this clip, a middle school teacher describes how he established his classroom norms with inputs from his students to help increase their sense of belonging.
Sense of belonging is one of the most important activators of a child's engagement in learning.
As human beings, one of the most essential needs we have is the need to belong. When that sense of belonging is there, children throw themselves into the learning environment. And when that sense of belonging is not there, children will alienate, they will marginalize, they will step back.
Norms are a way that we know whether we belong or not.
What does social studies today look like, feel like, and sound like when we're supporting the norms? Right. To begin nearly every class, I start with the norms. We developed this list of about 10 adjectives.
Our norms are communicative, collaborative, zealous, and the most important ones, focused and serene.
This teacher engaged the class in establishing a set of norms. So by having children themselves create the norms, you are creating a pathway toward belonging for every single child in that class. And they have a role in this learning community that they had a share in building.
Come up with a statement. What does social studies look like? What does it feel like? And what does it sound like? And use those adjectives that we brainstormed together for our norms.
Social studies is collaborative. Everybody's kind of working together.
We get to choose norms we think will help us with our work and get it done.
This teacher created a common language with which to talk about our learning community.
Let's start at this table right here.
It looks and should feel focused. If we weren't focused, we wouldn't get any work done. If we weren't communicative, we might have someone struggling in the group. We can suggest to the group you should be able to say it at a controlled tone.
Great. Thank you guys for reflecting on those norms, and we're gonna think about those as we continue our work today. The classes that go really well are the classes when I start off reflecting on the norms and using those norms to articulate how our class will run well.
Yeah. But sometimes it's good to take some of the norms outside.
All right, we want to do just a quick circle, set the norms for the game today for Capture the Flag. One of our norms is to be serene, but there might be a class where there's an activity that requires a lot of walking around, movement, even noise. And, on those days we recognize that today that's not going to be our norm.
You have to be inclusive. You have to include everyone, so it could make the game better, more fun, and you could have a better chance of winning.
Sweet, inclusive. It helps us own the behavior in the classroom. All right. Instead of a top-down list of rules that a teacher gives a class, these are words that we generated together. These are words that we believe in. Inclusive, focused, considerate. Zealous. Being zealous. Great.
The third is strong classroom presence. We can build a strong classroom presence in 3 ways. 1, by fostering authenticity. We should always encourage students to try, whether they believe they will be successful or not. It is okay not to know everything. Giving the students an opportunity to learn with their instructor helps to strengthen the bond between teacher and student and create a sense of community between the students and their classmates. 2, building strong relationships. Within our learning environments, we should partake in a shared belief that all students can learn and grow in some way. Take opportunities to listen to your students and show genuine interest in things both academic and non-academic to help build your personal relationship. And 3, projecting confidence. We should always speak with an active voice, portray positive body language, and be as prepared as possible when presenting information to our students. The fourth essential tool for effective classroom management is the use of task-oriented procedure for lessons. A task-oriented lesson has 3 parts. The pre-task, or introduction, includes the background content, opportunities for building excitement about the activity, and an opportunity to give general instructions. The task or student activity is often done in pairs or small groups, incorporates elements of project creation, and allows for interaction with content and/or student research. The post task requires students to review and evaluate the completed task. This can be done through peer review, a self-reflection activity, or in a review meeting with the instructor. To recap, we have learned that classroom management includes expectations, rules and procedures, and relationship building. We have reviewed various research-based strategies by Marzano and Wong. We have identified the 4 main elements of classroom management as classroom design, rules and consequences, scheduling and organization, and instructional technique. We have learned that the essential tools of classroom management include clear expectations, student engagement, strong classroom presence, and task-oriented procedure for lessons. Thank you for your time and attention today. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me using the email address on the screen.